for attending this information session with Wabtech. We were just talking a little bit. I have a hard time not saying GE, but it's Wabtech now. We're excited because that relationship that we've had with GE, now Wabtech, has gone back many years, and they've been great partners with us as we built the new DTC and have funded, and a lot of equipment that we use really comes from supporters, specifically Wabtech. So we're excited that they're here to share a little bit about their industry, what they have, what they can offer to you. Before we get started, and we have Jason agreeing to take off on this journey with us, I'd like to have Steve lead us in a little bit of information about safety.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, so how many of us right here, right now, are partnership by first aid, CPR, and AED? So 3 of us, good. So we are the go-to people if there's an incident in the group, okay? If we have to leave, we will go as a group, and Jason, you will join us as a group. 2 places will reconvene. We'll either go out this way, we'll reconvene over the farm, or if it is a farm mechanic, you'll take the farm mechanic, or we'll reconvene down to BTC. All right, we'll go with the group. Jen, I'm going to have you bring the sign-in sheet, and we'll double check and get down there. Make sure the person on your left, and if you go to the other person on your right, those people are with us. All right. Jason and I go back a lot of years. I'm bringing him here again. Thanks for coming out, Jason. So with that, over to you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, everybody coming in, either online or here in person. I do want to point out we've got 2 individuals from that work on my team. Wabtech, Rick Reynolds, who is my direct boss. He's a former Haverite, worked with the BNSF account, but now is down in Fort Worth on the overall BNSF. And we also have Sherry Allsbrook. She's in on CSX over on the East Coast with our CSX counterparts, basically fleet management, different fleet and stuff like that. Rick, I'll throw it over to you real quick. Anything you want to do to introduce yourself a little bit, please?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay, Jason?
Yeah.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you all for attending. Second of all, I'm a huge advocate or promoter of this relationship we built with MSU-Northern. 20 some odd years ago, I sat in a very familiar seat trying to learn what the rail industry was, what GE Transportation did, and as Jason's going to take you through kind of the lessons of how we transition, what's new, what's different as we move into this world of Wabtech. But I'll say the relationship with MSU-Northern has been a cornerstone for success in our world of servicing the rail industry in every aspect, from technical support to business leadership to shaping and evolving the rail industry year in and year out. I can say one of those seats is filled by an MSU-Northern individual, ex-employee, ex-intern co-op at every corner of our company, and that's across the globe. Not very many colleges or institutions can say that when we look at our recruiting streams and how successful this has been. As Jason mentioned, I am born and raised in lovely Havre, Montana. I was a Havre High kid, kind of lost my brain a little bit. I went to the University of Montana, but through relationships and knowing that GE was involved in my hometown, had the aspects of a career in industry that had a draw to me, I latched on to an internship program. And as they say, the rest is history. It's been 22 years, 6 different states, or 5 different states, 6 different moves. But it's gone from intern to now I'm the executive running the BNSF account for Wabtech. So everything BNSF does from a locomotive standpoint, service standpoint, warranty standpoint, I got a piece of that puzzle. And I'm absolutely ecstatic to be in the seat, very prideful, very humble of where I came from and the relationship we built with MSU-Northern and students very much like yourself of how that progression's worked, how the college has evolved, how we've evolved as a company, we've always stayed in harmony, and that's through these interactions, these meet and greets, and learning what we are and what we aren't. And then again, building those relationships with the Career Center, the technical curriculum, and evolving so we stay current with the industry, what we need to do from a technology standpoint. Northern has been a huge advocate of always listening, adapting, and we taking that resource and growing and helping each other has been nothing but absolute success. And Jason knows I am the utmost supporter sitting in this chair. Is that institution put food on my table as I grew up, as both my parents worked there for collectively, I think, over 80 years. So I've got a lot of pride in MSU-Northern and what it does. And we're here to, again, recruit, learn, listen, answer questions, and evolve the relationship to the next step and for the years to come. So thank you all for your time and attention.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. I also wanted Sherry, if you would say a little bit. I've had the privilege of working with Sherry on the CSX account. Great knowledge base. Has known a lot of MSU-Northern grads for many a time. So go ahead, Sherry.
Hello, everyone. I have been with GE, now Wabtech, for 36 years. And I actually started in the engineering ranks. I was a UT grad in Tennessee, had co-opted back in the day with Tennessee Valley Authority, and had interviewed with GE on campus, and that led to the job in Erie. I honestly didn't even know GE made locomotives, didn't know anything about them. So, but moved from engineering into field service. The old Al Skelly, there's probably nobody that remembers Al yet, but he took a chance on that young engineer and brought me out to the field. And when Dash 8s were brand new, and I was in Corbin, Kentucky on the CSX property until 2015 when they shut the shop down. But by then, my job had morphed into more program management. So my career path has been engineering, field service. I was a material manager, a material leader, fleet program manager, and now an individual contributor to the account executive for CSX. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Teldra Jones and I are looking to take what Jason and the BNSF team has done with MSU and hopefully open some doors from other universities in other areas of the country to help our pipeline. So I appreciate the opportunity to listen to see how this goes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Sherry. Pleasure to have you on. So a little bit about myself, and then we'll get going. Former MSU-Northern grad, diesel student, auto minor, been with the GE Transportation Wabtech now for 20 plus years. Like I said, did work on CSX. Prior to that, I was Canadian Pacific, Union Pacific, CSX, and then BNSF. Had a chance to work in several different areas, mostly all field service, black belt quality roles, different type of operations like that. So it's been a pleasure to be able to be back here in Montana for the last 8 or so years, working with the college, helping new people come to the programs, see people come in through as high school students, freshmen, all the way up to seniors, and seeing them develop long term. So it's been a pleasure. So a little bit about Wabtech, GE Transportation. All right, a little bit about GE Transportation. Anybody that knows your history, you've got Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse had several battles over DC current, AC current, back and forth. Well, now we've merged that company with, I don't want to butcher it, but Fairly, which was a French company, actually merged all these three pioneers in the rail data communication industry. the different history, the background back in the 1869 timeframe with Wabtech, Westinghouse air brake, and then 1880, Thomas Edison, railway industry. So we've got a huge amount of history when it comes back to the rail and its advancements, the transportation. So we've brought these three companies all together back in 2019 where we had this merger with Wabtech. Huge amount of input as far as the number one data line on most of our railroads. We're the Ford, Chevy, Dodge manufacturer of the locomotive world. 80+% of the market share as far as locomotives, new manufacturing goes. So a little bit of the timeline there, but really gets into how big is the overall company. This is some of the merger slides that we kind of went through at the beginning to really understand what it was. 27,000 employees, 50 different countries, 8 billion in revenues, is a Fortune 500 company. Huge advantages as far as leveraging what Wabtech did in the advancements with positive train control, GE in their development of the Tier 4 locomotives. First time, we were able to come up with a Tier 4 well before our competitor. One in every, 60 locomotives out there right now is a Tier 4, is actually run by, is a GE manufactured locomotive that's actually Tier 4. So huge amounts of different opportunities. Wabtech also is in different areas where we've got some of the mining industries, marine, but now leveraging all our different positive things from the different companies together has helped us long term. Really, what is an internship? What does a job in field service really look like? These are just some of our average pictures. Granted, I'm going to lean a little bit heavier on the BNSF. Excuse me, Sherry. Didn't include a lot of CSX slides, but with the BNSF, what does that internship really look like for us? We do a little bit of everything. We don't need a toolkit. Your toolkit is in your head. You don't need $10,000 worth of tools to go work on these locomotives. You need to be able to think through a wiring diagram, think through the mechanical side of it. How do you troubleshoot that? Come up with that troubleshooting tree, develop an action plan, develop that, work with the railroad. We're in all the railroads are in union environments. So we are helping them to devise that troubleshooting program, get them lined up, get them down that direction so that they don't use a wheelbarrow full of parts to go fix that locomotive. Our technical knowledge is what we bring to the table and help our customers besides being the OEM for the parts. So not only is it that, but we're also getting in there, looking at some of those devices, how do they turn long-term? Even some of these products where Dash 8s, Dash 9s, some of the earlier technologies up all the way up through Tier 2s, 3s, and Tier 4s now, still maintaining that equipment, 30, 40 years old, still going to be working on some of that stuff. So you still need to know the basics, how it starts, but you also need to know the advancements in electronic control, emission standards, and those type of things. So we get out there, we're involved with a lot of the craft, understanding what they're seeing on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of the in-between talker between the engineering group and what the people actually see on the locomotive and how to make that better. Sometimes they can't really explain it to each other very well, and that's kind of where we kind of step in and help them out. So quite a few different things. It's not just on locomotives. It's a lot of, we do some data analytics to make sure that we're looking at that properly. But at the same time, we're getting out there, getting a little dirty sometimes if you want to, just to see what the craft are trying to see or trying to understand on that particular locomotive. So, some of our past interns, this is just some of our recent ones. When GE started working with the college back in '95 to now, we've hired over 112 individuals in some version or another into full-time employment. with the company, and they've expanded from there. This is just some of our recent individuals in their kind of their career path. So recent hires, we've got Paige. She just hired on with us. She's here locally. She just started at the beginning of 2020, hired with a diesel degree. She's got her certification in materials. That was our plan. And then we've got a technical certification afterwards. She didn't do an internship program with us right away, but did hire on without doing that. So that's still an option. You don't have to do an intern with us to hire. Lucas Pender, he's actually a full-time employee in Northtown, which is over in Minneapolis. He did an internship with us, did a lot of his online technical training certifications for us first. And I'll get into that here, what those certifications are. He started out some of that, hired on in Northtown, now he's full-time TA. Backtrack a few other individuals, Jedrick Schatz. He is hired on in 2017, went to Barstow, California as a TA, then he went to a lead TA over in Ohio, Norfolk Southern, is his customer right now. But he was able to expand, quickly move up the ranks a little bit and advance his career. Ryan Thane started out as a freshman and started interning with us. He worked in Alliance, Nebraska. He worked on Waycross, Georgia on the CSX account. He was in North Platte, Nebraska with the UP account and with us in Havre at BNSF. He did hire on full-time. He's in Kansas City, great tech, was able to be level 1 certified very quickly, and he's been able to continue on. So those are just an example of some of the individuals that we've had hired on recently from the college. We've got Tyrell Dick, he just hired on May, I think, this year. He's down in Barstow. So there's always different career paths, different directions. So like I said, I bounced around, I moved all over the place. I know Rick bounced around, moved all over the place, but that's not a requirement. Some people hire on a particular location, but it's really up to the individual what they want to do long-term and for their own individual career path. If you want to stay the technical side, quality control, if you want to get into material management, those type of things are what's out there. So this is kind of some of the different stages where you can go on and move up the company. Whether you step into material specialists, technical advisors, directors, these are just the different directions where starting out as an entry level, your expansion, your career path can really develop into what you're interested in. Whether you step in as diesel technology or automotive or business, you may be able to expand into other areas. Janelle Bailey, who works on the BNSF account, I know she interned, she was a business major. Now she's the operations lead for the entire BNSF account. So it really comes up to the individual. You may get partway in and find that you lean a little bit towards a different direction based off your interests or your career path that you just really didn't know that you had a chance to get into. So quite a few different buckets. These are some of the first 4 stages, but there's always stages past that: executive, senior executive, etc. That's kind of the end of slides. I tend to do a lot more talking and discussion of that. But back to the certification program. Well, 4 or 5 years ago, we came up with a program to really showcase to our customers what we brought to the table by a certifications program. So instead of an SAE certification in the individual components, we have like a level 1 technician or a level 1 material certification program. So the staff that works for me is material technical advisors. So they certify in both of those. Our technical normally takes anywhere between 12 to 18 months. So at the same time that you're working, you're also getting these online training courses, understanding all the different aspects of the locomotive, different business classes and stuff like that, so you can understand the direction and why we make some decisions that we do. long-term. So that gets you into kind of the level 1. Level 2 technician, that's where you spend about 2 to 3 weeks out in another facility. You've got instructors that bug locomotives. You're working on those things 50, 60 hours a week, trying to understand, fix those bugs and learn that. One of my site technical leader, Cody Nutt here locally, pretty bright individual. He said it's the hardest class he's ever been to, but the best class he's ever been to also. Even though he only went to bed about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, got up at 6 the next day to build presentations for a week. So he said it was really tough, but well worth it. Material side, we've got just one level. Normally takes anywhere between 9 to 12 months to go through, but the different material transactions, making sure that we get stuff shipped correctly, transacted correctly, the troubleshooting, getting on locomotives and all that stuff, that's the fun stuff. But that doesn't really pay the bills. It's making sure you get the right material on the locomotive and not having it continually fail and those type of things. Those are the things that how we pay the bills and make money. So we want to make sure that those type of things are actually correct also. So there's that certification program also to make sure that everybody's up to speed. So this highlights to our customer that when somebody walks in the door and goes to Haver, they know that I've got 6 individuals that are level 1 certified out of my 8, or out of the 8 first level technicians, and the other 2 are still working on developing theirs. I've got 3 individuals that are level 2 certified for advanced troubleshooting and stuff like that. We haven't really completed the level 3 yet, but it's still a process ongoing to help showcase the talent that our craft or that our technicians bring. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It was more about I wanted to open up as far as what kind of questions, comments, things that you've got. I think we rescheduled for next Monday the 9th to do some intern interviews and stuff like that. I'll open those up we'll do a similar type of, we got a different Zoom type setup meeting so that we can have other people join, but we'll have those set up on the 9th. But that's kind of the plan right now. But wanted to kind of open it up, questions, comments, different items that you'd like to discuss, things you've heard, not heard.
While we wait for a question, I'll just add some points. Jason touched on it, but just to reiterate, you heard 2 individuals that have moved around quite a bit. Wabtech embraces domain expertise, kind of like GE did as well. That's a core that we value. So if there's a point in a time that the family says enough is enough and you like where you live and life is good and your job challenges you, you openly communicate that to your leadership and your management. And we value that as a company. It's not you have to be stepping up each and every month. Do you have to deliver? Do you have to understand your job? Do you have to be confident? Absolutely. But there's not a forced move scenario situation. My personal experience is 20 years ago or 15 years ago, I saw this position of leading the entire BNSF, and that's what I aspired to do. And my mentors and leadership kind of carved out the path and the experience I needed to go gain. And those jobs didn't come open in Haver, Montana, where I could go garner all that experience, knowledge, and working with different aspects of leadership of the rail industry, so on and so forth. So I kind of had to plant my flags in a few different locations and go get those experiences. But that's not every case. If you want to be a technical or material guru, learn it, run it at an expert level, be very good at it, competent. You can build a life and a career in the shop you start in the facility, the customer you work with day in and day out. And we've got just as many experiences where people have stayed for 20, 30, 40 years, same location. And we've got people that have been mobile and bounced around. The second piece, we operate on the service side of the business. So call it the aftermarket. So everything after the locomotive is born is ours. day one of it out of the factory to the day the railroad retires it. There's a lot of challenges with that. Products age, they have different failure modes, they get run at different rates, different runs, different utilization, create different challenges for us. The value I see in it is I've been on the manufacturing side of the house, and the career on the manufacturing side of the house is based off how many locomotives we're producing. In the service environment, we've got 10,000 children to take care of each and every single day. And that's not going away. The Class 1 rail market in the United States of America is absolutely strong, and it's a vital organ to how this economy runs. Okay. So through the worst kind of economic crisis we've seen in a number of years, and the COVID shutdowns, we lost 0 people on the services side of the business. 0. Each and every person went to work safely, effectively, but we had to keep locomotives running. I don't think many businesses can walk into this forum and say we lost 0 people during this stretch in this economic condition that we were faced with in 2020. That's the good side of services, that they're always going to be out there. The tough side, railroads run 24/7. There's challenges, there's scheduling, there's unique aspects of that, but that's absolute truth of the world. Of it's good to be on the services side of the world. There are their challenges as well.
Question.
Go ahead.
If I can throw this out. You mentioned that you're looking for people who are troubleshooters and decision makers, right?
Yep.
As a person. So what would the day in the life of an intern who's brand new intern, not done this before, they're going to come intern for you during the summer, what would they do? Would they be paired with somebody? How do you get them started into this mindset of troubleshooting and decision making? Yeah.
Can I answer this one?
Sure.
So I've lost count how many jobs I've had with GE and Wabtech, but when asked, I say my best job was my co-op experience. And what you just laid out, it's answer D on your multiple choice college to all the above. I had a schedule, I had a shift, and my core competency was to go in and shadow a technical advisor, a salaried employee that lined up crews and did the troubleshooting and walked through the work scopes and made sure the material was there. That was kind of core competency. The awesome aspect of this job is kind of encapsulated in that picture. I'd go in with a plan, and the next thing the shop leader said, you're riding a train to Whitefish, Montana, because it's been problematic for this, and we need to make sure it's going to run clean. Somebody's going to be in Whitefish and pick you up. The next day, we had an engineering team on property that was introducing a new component, a new part. How does it fit up? How does it function? The unique, fantastic attribute about Havre, Montana has been the flexibility of that customer in that location of kind of being a test bed. And it's great not only with the people aspect, but the environmental challenges. Not many engineering test beds got 10,000 feet of elevation, 150 miles west. And not to mention it's probably going to get really, really cold, really, really quick. So they like that suite. So it was engineering engagement, fit ups, troubleshooting, learning the product, learning the material side of the house. And each day was kind of a different dynamic. We have a regiment of kind of a checkbox of how we think it fits you to get trained on different aspects of the locomotive, from simple maintenance activity, just like any other, functioning industrial piece of machinery, oil filters, what do we check? What are the sensors telling us, to full blown, we had catastrophic repairs. How do we put it back together? What are the engineering specs, to new product, new part introductions? You get that full gamut. And the good news about Havre is that it always happens there. And it's a key location for us to introduce, change, and be that kind of leading location of where we go do our trial, error, learn kind of environment, which makes it very dynamic, very exciting, elements of a learning environment and getting your feet wet into this industry. That's my 2 cents, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've kind of tried to continue that. We don't want anybody coming in and getting bored. You're not going to be getting anybody's coffee except maybe your own. You're going to be working your keister off to try and understand the 26 different microprocessors that are on a locomotive, how those different entities work together, how the different designs, one functions one way or one functions another. Some of the fun stuff that I got involved with in my past was, well, why does Haver always have this issue? Or why is this only happening on UP locomotives or CSX locomotives or et cetera? Well, a lot of that stuff because Canadian Pacific and the Haver location, we're in a harsher environment. We tend to see some of those things first, but not always is that the case. And some other locations see it first. So it's kind of a competition back and forth to try and see if we can identify something and find that fix or develop that fix quicker. Different truck programs, steerable truck, I was involved with those on Canadian Pacific and CSX, trying to understand why those things wore out, or coming up with repair structures. Distributed weight management is another one, trying to identify how we can make that better work for the customer and those type of things. So there's always an ever-changing thing. You may have planned to be, we're gonna bring you in there for that 6-hour or 12-hour shift, and there may be a plan A, and if we only go to plan E, that's a good day. So not that it's always up in the air or something to that effect, but it's always challenging. There's always something new and different to go learn. So hope that answered the question. Hope it brought some other questions. Maybe.
Intern opportunities everywhere that you talked about. I saw a lot of your folks in Pennsylvania and Barstow and maybe in Texas, whatever. Do you have these intern opportunities across the country?
Right. So our plan is to, we'll start their development here in Havre during the fall and springs semesters. And then during the summer, we want to get them out to those other locations. Kansas City or our Argentine shop is one of those locations. It gets into a mass amount of different types of locomotives, different things going on. It seems to be a central hub with a lot of things going on. It's one of our customers' largest sites. It's also just a few short 100 miles away from Topeka, which is our overhaul center for BNSF. So there are those type of areas. CSX, they've got different locations, Waycross, traction motor rebuilds, engine overhauls, and actual maintenance. So there's lots of those different type of opportunities that are out there.
I think there's 60 locations in the domestic United States that serve the Class 1 customers across. So
no, not going to promise I'm sending anybody to India or anything else like that. I get to go first, but
I'll hold you to that.
Oops, I told you I was going to say something I didn't want to.
Are there any questions from anybody on the Zoom call?
Was a question for me, Jason? I didn't hear it.
No, we were just seeing if there's any questions for somebody on the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
But Jason, if you have an intern who's in Hammer in the summer, and you generally move it into Nebraska or Nebraska, wherever, do you help with relocation and with housing?
So the question is basically if we send somebody over from Havre over to Nebraska or another site, what do we do there?
Yeah, there's a relocation package tied to kind of job and structure. But for the most part, Wabtech has followed what GE did for a number of years. It's a third-party outfit. typically a group called Cardis. Once you sign your offer, they're kind of the experts at getting you from point A to point B, and that includes you, your family. It's a process, guys, and it starts with, do you own your home? Do you rent your home? What's your family situation? Are you a single individual, or do you have a spouse and 6 kids and 8 dogs? And do you have 4 vehicles? So they take all that information, then they come back to you and you start to plan, okay, here's a trip to go look at a house hunting. It's quite the process, but they set it up for your best interest. From a summer internship, we make the accommodations. We figure out the best interest. Obviously, you're not getting a permanent home in a situation like that, but we work through those scenarios and tie to either to a local college institution, or maybe we got a rental situation set up. But we factor that into making it the best suited situation for an intern as they go off, and obviously pretty much give up the summer to go work at a different location that's not necessarily tied to their local school or their known location that they're going to go back to. So
yeah, there's either those versions. We've also done a stipend if there isn't a large group of interns going to a particular location, but we try to offset that. We understand you're going to have your rental or home here. You need some assistance to get down there, mileage, et cetera. Those are all different things that are available that we do for our interns setup.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
What about for like a permanent employee, like somebody that has an intern, and like we sign off as a permanent employee, would you want to spend the first, 12 to 18 month period after, because it's the best place to train, or is it like?
Traditionally, what we do is that if we have an open position, wherever that open position is, we'll move you there and start there and then be able to continue. If you're an internship, so I'll use Tyrell's instance. He was graduating, he was as an intern, and he hired onto that position in Barstow. We got him, he was interviewing for that position. He was a very strong candidate. I was working with Shay Stepp, the manager there, and said, what are the things that you need him to know right now, day one, when he walks in that door? And those are the things that I kind of curtailed because Tyrell was stepping up that first thing right away. But when you hire on full time, you'll end up going to that particular location. But that's where we're trying to get interns developed, go down those, start the level 1, level 2, level 1 training courses, get the basics done. I'm going to tell you, hey, I need an IGBT for such and such road number. You don't know what that is. I don't expect you to. We're going to go through and get some of that basic and those training done here as an intern. But when you hire on as a full-time, we'll get you to that area. And if you haven't gotten it, that's fine. You still got extra time to get on top of that too. So,
listen, we think of it like an 18-month cycle when you onboard somebody off the street. When we hire out of our intern programs, most notably Havard, you've almost cut that in half, if not 2/3 of that cycle. You may not be fully certified. You may be very close. It depends on how long your internship was, but I'll say this very openly and honestly. If you're an intern in this program and we have an opening, you sift to the absolute top of the candidate slate, because we know that the simple stuff, the IT systems, the email, the base training, all that stuff you would have to start ground zero with somebody off the street. You have those elements. Even if you're in the program for 6 months, you're still 6 months ahead, and all that stuff. The onboarding manager is set up for success. You're set up for success, and we harness that. And to Jason's point, when we got runway of a assigned employee going somewhere, we'll start to curtail your specific training needs. Maybe you're going to an account that's got a different make and model of locomotive. Maybe they're all DC locomotives and older vintage. We'll get you those experiences, that knowledge, that know-how. So again, day one, you're miles ahead of somebody else coming off the street and well prepared for success.
what skill set are you looking for? When you do interviews of the night, is there a specific skill set you're looking for, classes that are completed, GPA, is there anything specifically, soft skills, et cetera, that should help them out as they get ready for interview?
So some of the bare bone requirements, 4-year degree and 3.0 or higher for a GPA. Those are the bare bones start out for internships. The steps beyond that, doesn't matter if you're on the diesel side, the automotive side, the business side, you've got to have some version of problem solving skills. Anybody in the auto or mechanical side that can follow a troubleshooting tree, if it did this, go here, if it did that, go there. Those basic troubleshooting trees, a lot of our stuff goes that way. Our problem child locomotives that we troubleshoot over and over and over again, it's because somebody skipped the first 3 basic steps. Looking for broken wires. Start basic, but be willing to accept that you may have missed something and be willing to go back. Don't just automatically accept, oh no, I did that already. Willing to learn, willing to change, willing to try and follow some of those degrees and just basic work ethic. I mean, a lot of that for me, going around and hiring other individuals. We know a lot of the people that come here to this college, these type of degrees, have that already. They're going after it. They want something more for themselves. They're not just going in it to check a box. So that helps us. That's why we recruit pretty heavily out of here. But at the same time, how do you set yourself apart from somebody else? It's going through some of those basics and willing to learn.
And I
Sure.
think it's evolved over time. If you would have asked that question 10 years ago, when we didn't have a certification program and a training program, it probably would have been harder technical. And then the dynamics of our contract, we were more supervised. So we controlled the unionized machinist, electrician. They worked under our direct, leadership, supervision, discipline, safety, all that stuff. Now we're an advisor. You're an influencer. And oh, by the way, we have a world-class training and certification program we didn't have before. So I think as we've evolved as a company and started to invest in our employees and the training and the education, we've broadened our spectrum of what we expect from the college to what Jason laid out. We want, obviously, good men and women, smart, capable, that have finished their degree. Not because that's the utmost criticality, but from a corporate policy standpoint, there's a threshold. As we ascend up, there's only so far you can go before we require a 4-year degree. So when we think of this program's longevity and success, we want that from the start, is why we've held that requirement in place and honor that to this day. But we're looking at different groups such as the business, the automotive, the diesel, because if they have those core basic problem solvings, eager to learn, flexibility, good communicators, we can put them in our curriculum, our certification program, and get you the finer details of the day in the life of the locomotive and the necessities there. That wasn't there 15 years ago. It was.
No, it's changed quite a bit. When we hired on, it's a lot different. When I hired on, I went to St. Paul, Minnesota, or I actually went up to Vancouver, Canada. Went up there. Phil Klutz was my boss's name at the time. He said, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be working 6 to 6 p.m. to a.m. and you're going to work with this machinist and figure out what a locomotive is." Now, we don't just dump you in like fire like then, but there's a lot of things at it. There's a lot of things to go after and go learn. So it's being willing to jump into that too. So it's came a long way. And I think the more of our MSU-Northern grads and Montana individuals that have developed and got into the company, we've helped influence that direction because we've seen it at the bottom. So.
Absolutely.
What kind of benefits do you have when you get to
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
what kind of benefits do you have from the pay scale, like, or the salary
So when we're hiring on as a technical advisor or a MTA, a material technical advisor, that is a salary position, not really hourly. We try to schedule a 4 on, 3 off type of schedule, 12-hour days. It is salary, but if we've got to work, because we're working 24/7, we try to make sure that if you've got to work extra on it for somebody else, there is overtime capabilities and those type of things.
Good question.
Jason Clark, an intern or co-op during the semester, can you ever work around their class schedules?
Yeah, absolutely. So fall and spring, we limit it to about 19 hours a week. That's your maximum, 12 hours. So we've got one individual, he's working 12 hours. He comes in on Saturdays, works his 12-hour shift, but it's so that he can get his intern, his education program first. There's been a tendency that, well, hey, I got a good job already. I want to jump in full feet and not get the rest of your degree. We want you to get your degree and get your learning base, because that gets you a good entry-level base to start from to be able to expand on. So we're going to definitely work around those schedules and stuff like that. We normally tend to break them up into either 6 or 12-hour chunks. We're like Rick said, we're 24/7, 365 days, and twice on Christmas type of operation. So there's more than enough time to work in our work around somebody's schedule. Anything else out there? Go ahead.
I'm Joe. I'm one of the employees of Wabtech. I work under Jason. To expand on that, all of the MTAs, the technical advisors at Northern or at Hammer know the importance of the program. So when we have an intern there, we capitalize on every single opportunity to make it a learning environment, because we're training our next coworkers. And we know how much we had to drink from a fire hose when we hired on, even as interns. So we always work to strive to get you better prepared than we might have by learning from the mistakes of somebody else, or, things like that. Not necessarily mistakes, but we always want to, we're invested in getting the program better too, and because you guys are the future of our company as interns, so we definitely work really hard to make sure that you're learning as much as you can as well. You're not wasting any opportunity.
So, Joe, you want to tell these guys a little bit of your career plan?
Sure, yeah.
I keep forgetting.
Okay. So I'm Joe Vernon. I graduated at Northern in 2016. I was an intern from January 2014 until my graduation. I did my internship through spring and fall here in Havre, and then I did an summer internship in Kansas City, and that's actually where I went to get my first position, was in Kansas City, where I was there for 18 months, and then came back here to Havre, utilizing, taking advantage of different opportunities. So that's my career path, and the internship program here definitely put me leaps and bounds ahead. I remember I did a 2-year internship, and I started in Kansas City in May, right after graduation, and I was level 1 certified by Thanksgiving. Usually that takes 18 months. I had had enough time and training to be a level 1 technical advisor by that Thanksgiving, so less than 6 months. So to Rick's point, yeah, it cuts it down into 2/3 if you're motivated. We have a lot of good students come through here, and a lot of it's one of those things that's drinking from a fire hose no matter what you're doing, but it's a good thing. If you come thirsty, you'll be able to handle it, that's for sure.
I guess, so you're also, I guess the other disclaimer piece is you're also part-time teacher here.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't think I needed to say it. He's all one person's in my lab. But yeah, I also am an adjunct here at Northern. I help Wayne Boyson with the electrical too, covering the lab portion of that. And that's just because, really because Stephen reached out to me one semester and needed help, and I've always been really invested in campus, so I volunteered my time. Jason was amazing enough to help me with my schedule and kind of help me work so that I can work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., you know, and then come here and then go back to work, sleep about 4 hours.
It's easy to help when somebody's willing to work nights.
Yeah, yeah. If you volunteer to work nights, they'll do whatever you want.
Anything else that I can answer or whatever?
Like tuition reimbursement or student loan repayment or something along those lines, right?
We have not, I know Modern Machinery has talked about tuition reimbursement and stuff like that. If you are a full-time employee and expand on your education, went for a master's degree or stuff like that, that is, and Rick, please correct me if I am wrong, that is still available, that we do tuition reimbursement if you expand on your already current degrees.
Oh,
Yeah, I won't say it's 100%, Jason. We're going to evaluate the employee, and there's going to be, you know, we want to make sure it's a right fit. We honor the fact of going back and furthering your education, but you might be asked stick around. Hey, we'll cover your master's degree, but you're going to finish 3 more years, or you're going to get a bill for your degree type of scenario. But we'll take those case by case and work through them. But you come in, you show you're eager, want to be part of the team, want to continue to grow yourself. That's a very doable option. Absolutely.
There's a couple of coworkers in Kansas City that took advantage of that. Worked out really well for them.
We're making Lisa run around with the mic.
That's okay.
Say, Daniel, you can ask another question now.
All right.
So Jason, so the interview, so do you have some co-op openings for spring semester, or are you looking ahead for summer?
So what I want to do is we're going to look for the spring and summer directly, specifically, quantity of openings and stuff like that. We've got to make sure I've got the right number in mind. Not going to commit to anything 100%. I have to make sure that we don't overstretch ourselves. We are watching every penny, and if we did anything other than that, we wouldn't be doing a service to everybody else that works in the company. So, but yeah, we're going to be looking for internship programs for this fall, and then in the summer.
So if any of you want, the schedule is open, if you'd like to sign up for a time, or you can come to Lisa or I and get on the schedule for November 9th. If you'd like to interview with Jason and learn a little bit more and possibly, you know, have an opening for your spring semester. Start on that training.
Absolutely.
One thing I'll also add for the summer co-ops in Hamburg, you possibly get the opportunities to help out the diesel golf scramble if we have this summer.
Yeah, so we didn't do it this last summer, but we done 3 of them so far. 3 annual golf scrambles, raised anywhere between $10,000 to $11,000 each year to go back directly into the diesel program to help buy software, buy repair tooling, and things like that for the curriculum. So it's been a pleasure to be able to do that, but it's been fun.
I look forward to the day where I can be there in person and donate and have some fun, very much so. You can hold me to that someday.
We'll let you fire off the golf cannon a few extra times.
Yeah, there you go.
First, I gotta see mom and dad. Second, the Lefka's Pizza, and then we can talk golf. That's my second order of.
Well, it's good to see you, Rick.
Good to see you, Jennifer.
I did take a picture of the screen and send it to your mom.
Good, thank you.
Rick on Zoom today.
So for those in the room that don't know, Jennifer was part of the contingent that helped raise me to who I am today. So my mother and her worked together for, I won't say how many years, but every Christmas party to birthday party to everything life, Jennifer's been a part of it. So, and you can't get anybody better at taking care of you. So you guys are in good hands. So listen to her guidance.
Oh, you're making me blush. I can't see because I have a mask on.
Easy to say when it's the truth, Jennifer.
Thanks.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. And if you go ahead and sign up for any time slots for interviews, and we'll go from there. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Rick.
Sherry.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
As a thank you for coming over to our campus in the middle of COVID.
Oh,
We have
no
a mask
problem.
for you. I
Thank
wear
you.
masks.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
sign up on.
No problem.
Okay.
I have lots.
Is that a Monday?
Monday the 9th.
Okay. So,
Couple weeks. Okay, all right, thanks.
Northern.
No, if you don't, if you'd rather have those on the part. Okay.
I'm good either way.
Okay.
I have it 4 years.
You do, yeah.
So
They may not work for
they don't
you.
work as great, so that's why I end up doing.
Okay.
Well, in my work, you know, this year. This year.
Oh, there we go.